everyone, Miss Longley here, and today we are going to be working on task 3 of the Ecology Map project. So far in task 1, you have picked a biome where you're researching 3 locations found within that same biome. And then for task 2, you are narrowing it down and picking one specific location to be your ecosystem. And from there, you pinned one endangered species found in that ecosystem. For Team Biology's example, our biome was the temperate forest and our ecosystem was the redwoods forest. So for task 2, we pinned an endangered species found in the California redwoods forest. I'm going to hide myself here and tell you a little bit more about task 3. So in task 3, you are going to be researching an ecological community found in that ecosystem that you chose in task 2. So what that means is you are going to be researching 4 native species that live in your specific ecosystem. I'm going to emphasize the word native here because these are species that are found originally in that ecosystem. They're not invasive. So in each of these pins for each of the 4 native species, you're going to include the following. You're going to include the name of the species, the picture of the species, identify its trophic levels, whether it's a producer, primary consumer, secondary, tertiary, even a decomposer. And then in the text of your pin, you're going to describe some ways that this species interacts with other species in its community, whether it's a predator or prey relationship, maybe it has a symbiotic relationship such as mutualism, or it could be competition. Maybe this species competes with another species for the same kind of resource. So let's take a look at the California redwoods forest example so you can kind of see what these pins look like. All right, so here's my map again. I'm going to go to the layer ecological community because that's where I'm going to be putting my 4 native species pins. As you can see here, I have each of their names, and you can use the common name. You do not have to use the scientific name of these species. And I did distinguish using parentheses what trophic level it belonged in. So the redwood tree is a producer, so I gave it a letter P. We also did banana slug, it's a decomposer. And then we have the Sonoma tree vole and the pine marten. Both of them are omnivores, so they are primary and secondary consumers. So let's take a look at we'll do the redwood tree first. So I'm going to click on that pin, and you can see here I have my name, the trophic level, picture, and then I describe a little bit more about the redwood trees as a producer. I also mention how they interact with the banana slugs and that they have a mutualistic relationship with the trees. So you're including any kind of information about that specific species and how it interacts with other species found within the same ecosystem. When making your pin, let's zoom in a little bit. Keep in mind you are pinning in that one ecosystem that you chose. So again, our ecosystem is the California redwoods, which is this entire area right here. And for pinning, we stuck to areas that were state parks. So here you can see all 4 of these native species are found in the same general area. You can also change your icons if you would like. So if you want to make it like a tree little icon, all you have to do is click on this paint bucket, and then you can change the icons. So that's just one example to kind of make it a little fun. All right, so how do you start finding these native species? One way is to start with finding the producers, since they are the baseline of all trophic levels. So for example, I'm going to go over to Google, and let's just say your ecosystem was Death Valley, and that's part of the desert biome. So you might start typing Death Valley. Oops, and it would help if I spelled it right. And I want to find plants or producers. So I'm going to type in plants and see what comes up. So here it already is starting to tell me what kind of vegetation there is. This seems kind of interesting, Joshua Tree. Copy that, paste it in, and see if I can find some information. There is also a Joshua Tree National Park, but I'm more interested in the species, so I'm going to scroll a little bit more and see if there is about the plant. So here it is. I'm going to click on Wikipedia. The nice thing about Wikipedia is it does mention kind of where that species is found, and it also mentions a little bit its interactions. You can definitely start here at Wikipedia, but definitely research more. But this is a good starting point. So what I'm looking for is any kind of relationships these trees have with the environment and other species. If you are having a hard time finding your next species level, what you can do is Google what eats a Joshua tree. So I'm going to start there. So what eats a Joshua tree? All right, so it looks like it's giving me a few more things. Looks like one of the options could be yucca moth, which would then make it a primary consumer. So that's one way that you can find each of your species and kind of how they're interacting with each other, basically starting with the food chain with the producer. That's just one way of finding it. It's totally up to you on how you want to research and find your 4 native species. But the main thing is to make sure that you have a variety of these 4 native species. So don't just find all 4 producers or all 4 primary consumers. Try to get a good variety of it. All right, that is task 3. Good luck.